inspiration for Expedition 65 came on the Uyuni salt flats because I was leading a tour. It was our first time to pass through Uyuni, and we had about 15, maybe 20 minutes out on the salt flats. But I wanted to spend some more time there. And that was the impetus to get it all started.
Planning for Expedition 65 began 14 months before departure when the team members gathered together for the first time.
From Cartagena, where might we want to go? The coffee region is down by Medellin.
The old city of Quito.
Okay, then we get into Peru now.
Machu Picchu is a big deal for me.
If there was any country I'd like to extend my time in, it would be Bolivia.
The road to death, definitely.
Uyuni, the salt flats. Yeah, I've kind of researched some routes through that area. Torres del Paine, Patagonia area.
7 days in Colombia, 4 days in Ecuador, 5 days in Peru.
The thing that Colin has put together is 50 days. So we need 2 days on the front and 2 days on the back. If we added 10 days, 65 days from Cartagena, Colombia to Ushuaia. Naming the trip, gents.
Wow. South American Continental Quest.
Or Expedition to the End of the World.
What's the total number of degrees of longitude we're going from?
10 degrees north to 55 degrees south in South America.
Expedition 65 from Colombia to Ushuaia.
So I think we go public, and I think the Expedition 65, it has been born.
So, gonna take a ride with my friends in HYDE. We're gonna go from north to south, from Colombia to Ushuaia. It's gonna take about 65 days. Expedition 65 takes off.
The next planning meeting happened 3 months before departure at the Overland Expo in Flagstaff, Arizona. The team gathered to go over last-minute details of the trip, including the route, schedule, and shipment of the motorcycles from Miami to Cartagena.
Jim approached me early in the planning process about coming on Expedition 65 because he was looking for some media partners to work with him to share the story of this amazing adventure. And once I started to find out the people that were going to be coming along, I was in.
The team consists of 15 riders, personally selected by Jim HYDE to take part in the expedition.
I think Jim's put a lot of thought into the invitees and putting a group together that has the same passion around this, but you know, it's gonna be 15 plus people spending 2 months together in some fun circumstances, and sometimes it's gonna get hard. And I'm really excited just about the group dynamic here.
The idea is that we all bring to the table our own, you know, skills and backgrounds, and we do what we can. I mean, I've spent my time working on maps and logistics, and there are others that are better at mechanics, and others are got connection to shipping companies, and others are thinking about the electronics and the filming and all the rest of it. So I think we're all bringing our own, you know, life experience and skills to the thing.
We're supporting this ourselves. We're literally splitting the costs of the trip. So we actually have an Expedition 65 checking account and some credit cards. So I think before this is all done, I think the whole project's going to run someplace $100,000 to $120,000 for all of us. I think everybody's about $7,500 a piece right now. We may have to draw on some more funds. But right now we're in good shape.
Then another thing that was unique about this particular trip is the fact that we've got a support vehicle and really a lot of very new equipment, newer motorcycles. Typically you see people doing long trips and they'll use something very simple for that. They won't use a brand new large adventure motorcycle. So for us to have larger GS adventures and GSs and to have a Quigley converted Ford van along with a trailer, that's a pretty significant change or a departure from what you normally see with expeditions of this type.
The Quigley four-wheel drive transit van conversion is fairly new for them. So we're here at Overland Expo, and we're going to put this out on the Land Rover course just to see how it performs, and especially since we're going to be in South America for 2 months in some pretty unpredictable terrains. We're towing our trailer with us just as a big test to see how it all works. ...2015 Ford Transit, completely stock, with the exception of the Quigley four-wheel drive conversion. And we put 275s on it, which are like 30.5-inch tires. So BFG, all terrains. There's some passes in the Andes we're going to be going over. that are going to be a lot like this. That was very cool. We did good. A comment you made was just how smooth this thing rode and stuff.
Yeah, it's fantastic. You wouldn't really know that it's as big a van that it is, and most of the time you couldn't even tell there was a trailer in the back.
That's awesome.
So it's fantastic driving. Jim.
Thank you
Good
for the
job.
pointers.
It's early September, and the team is finally ready to begin Expedition 65. The bikes have arrived at the shipyard in Cartagena. In a few days, the team will pick them up from customs and be on the road.
Wow, Cartagena, Colombia. I've been to a lot of cities in the world, and this is one of the most special cities, and it's primarily because inside the old city, they have absolutely restored it, and it is alive with Latin culture.
We're staying in the old part of town, and it was literally a fortress because in the days that it was built and during the Spanish colonialization of this area, pirates were everywhere. And it's a heavily, heavily guarded and incredibly cool old town.
This is what I have to deal with here for the next 65 days. Everything I need to ride motorcycles down to the end of the world.
The anticipation level has been high for like 8 months. All of the preparation and getting ready and the excitement about rolling is hitting us now.
Well, the guys are pretty anxious, as you can imagine. We spent the day yesterday killing time, basically, for Monday morning so we can go to the port and begin to figure out the process of getting our bikes, van, trailer, etc. out of the port. Let's go see what the customs boys have to say. Our host here in Colombia, Victor Sierra, who owns the Valley Group, which is the company that has handled all of the logistics for getting us ready for Expedition 65.
Let's go, my friend. I got a special gift for the administrator.
We call this greasing the skids. It is times like this when it's just wonderful to have local talent rather than trying to figure this out by yourself.
We met the port director. He invited us into his office, sat with them, thanked him for all his support, and he wished us well.
That is what you call a successful meeting. You walk in, you shake hands with the director of customs for the city. He gets to know you a little bit, and he says, you're good to go.
The logistics is my passion. It's my world. It's everything.
Well, let's go let the boys know the good news. This is all so exciting. Victor has talked this up so much, and I love what they did on the wall over there with the Expedition 65 map.
It just started off having fun right at their office. Of course, Evan, I asked him to go get his guitar because the people were just wanted to hear, what we were about and what we were doing. So nothing like kicking it off with some music, and we had the place rocking in there. We got to the port, everything was sitting there when we pulled up, and all our bikes were lined up. Nothing was gone, nothing was missing. A lot of bikes are probably capable of doing this, but for reliability standpoints, for a 2-month trip, I'm just so glad everybody is on BMWs. I know a lot about them. Minus a motor blown up, I'm pretty sure I can fix it.
I've lived all over the world and I kind of know customs, but I've never shipped in 10 bikes and a truck and a trailer and all the bags and gear and equipment, stuff in boxes. There was an incredible amount of paperwork. But it went well, and I think as smoothly as we could have possibly expected.
What we need to do is figure out how the hell we're going to stay together. How do we all get there? Nobody knows where they're going.
I've ridden a bit through Mexico, so it felt a little bit like that, but on steroids.
Riding through Cartagena, it's like playing Frogger. You got 18 people between bikes and trucks and vans, and you're just trying to stay all together. And we all did, nobody got hurt, and we get out of there.
That was crazy.
Yeah, and we got 2 more months of that. Yeah. So I'm going to take point for today. But I think that as we move forward, I want to see a little more of a team effort and some people stepping up to make decisions.
When we first started this, nobody wanted to step in and say, okay, I'm in charge. We have a group of people that really like each other, really respect each other, and really have to work together.
It's going to be an interesting dynamic because you've got CEOs and owners of businesses, and people are in senior management and some Fortune 500 companies, and people are used to being the decision makers and kind of telling people what to do, and now we're just going to have to join in and kind of have a more democratic process. It's going to be interesting to see that dynamic.
These 15 guys that seem to like each other still like each other in another 2 months.
And we're off. Expedition 65 hits the road. Colombia has become one of the most popular motorcycle destinations because we pretty much have everything in one single country. I mean, we have nice twisty roads, we have a lot of off-road, and it's basically a lot of adventure in Colombia. So I think that this is probably one of the best motorcycle destinations right now.
This is what it's like to ride in Colombia.
Woo! It's been raining like hell. I'm drenched to the bone. But we went through this remarkable little town, and I got this wonderful snapshot into just some little cultural things that happen here that caught me by surprise. All the school kids standing under the rain gutters, taking baths, washing their hair. You know, they were trying to capture as much fresh water as they can because obviously they have to haul it if it doesn't rain. So that was fascinating.
Absolutely beautiful, wow! But I don't think I can get any wetter.
Well, I wonder if we fucked the truck up before we ever got started. It's like he just drove into the ditch.
In an attempt to hill start, it slid into the ditch. So we were close to recovery, but now a tractor's here, which will probably make things easier.
Okay, slow.
It's the adventure, we're just beginning.
It was really fairly harmless.
Yeah, no problem.
Who could miss this opportunity to have your bike washed in a waterfall and get your suit washed at the same time? Perfect. We asked him how much it was and he said, well, whatever you want to pay. So we decided that 60,000 pesos, which is 20 bucks for 5 bikes, $4 a bike. That's the going rate for getting your bike cleaned in Colombia. So we'll see if he's happy with 60,000. Muchas gracias, huh?
When you have 8, 10, 12,000 miles to go in rugged terrain, anything you can do to do your bike a favor is doing your bike a favor.
Okay, so we're now here in a farm. This is a private property that has almost 1.5 kilometers of pure virgin beach, never used before. This is a typical house for this region. This is a cattle house, so they have a lot of land where they breed the cattle and they use it for meat. And they also have the ocean right side, so they also fish. So this is just a mixture of the two things, and this is what they do here.
So what we're going to see today is the bulls that they actually take for a big exposition, big agricultural expositions in Colombia. This is one of the best genetic farms in the region, and what they really sell is beautiful red Brahma genetics. They have 1,653 red Brahman bulls here, and they sell for around $100,000, and you just add them up, and that's quite a beautiful sum.
So we've broken the group down into smaller groups, and hopefully we'll travel a little faster than one large group. That's the idea anyways.
We've identified a couple groups of riders that are traveling well together. There's a faster group, and then there's kind of a bulk of the riders that are in kind of a middle group, and they stop a little bit more, maybe for lunch and things like that, but they keep the riding pace relatively high. And then there's a little bit slower group that's riding within their comfort zone, which is very critical. Everybody has to ride their own ride, and I'm glad that that was able to facilitate, because even though these guys are getting in a little bit later, they're not taking a lot of risk throughout the day, which is of course the most dangerous thing. So I like the fact that it's split up into those different groups. I think that'll allow the trip to progress well.
Doing 200 miles in Colombia is not the same as 200 miles in Oregon. You know, 200 miles in Oregon, you could be there by lunchtime. 200 miles in Colombia is a 11-hour, expedition to get somewhere. A lot of this riding to me is there's a huge high from conquering roads, from conquering distance, but there's also moments of absolute panic, and they sort of go, hand in glove. why the hell am I doing this? This is crazy.
So you have good stories to tell. Like the one
I
we're
hope so.
going to have
Yes,
from
we will
tonight.
have good stories, yes.
It's really cool how on a journey like this, things can just change so dramatically. For example, we're riding an hour ago and it's hot and humid, and then we're up here in the clouds before we know it, and it's cooled off significantly.
Luckily, we've escaped the heat and humidity of the Caribbean North, which it was beautiful country, but I'm glad we came up 5,000 feet and we've escaped a lot of that.
If you can't see anything, it's probably not any worse than the reality of what I can see, which has been only about 20 feet of visibility. So it's only about 7 o'clock. We've been riding in the dark for, what, half an hour or so? The roads are full of these cool trucks with like neon lights and everything.
LED light setups, all different colors. You know, in the States, red and blue, that's cops. Anything goes down here. That's the best night ride I've ever done.
The usual story, gas at night.
I don't think we have any food. I know we don't have any soap or shampoo or toilet paper. So if we're camping tonight, there's a few little logistical matters that need to be resolved.
How much farther do we have to go?
130 kilometers.
I bet you we don't get in until 10 o'clock tonight.
So far, I think we've come in late and taken it way longer to get things done than we thought. So it's going to be interesting to see whether we can continue the distances.
What happens, we call it the cascade of events. So in the beginning, that seems possible, but that starts to compound the fatigue. And then also people aren't checking their motorcycles because they're tired. They're not looking at their tires. They're not checking their air pressure. The more that that fatigue compounds and the more that people aren't paying attention to those details, I think that invites the opportunity for some injury or accident.